Dr. Laura Bennett stared through the observation window of the RSV horizon, her breath catching at the sight before her. The object they had discovered wasn't supposed to exist, not out here in the unexplored regions of the Carina Nebula. The metallic structure floating in the void looked like a perfect cube, its surface covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as she watched. "Are you seeing this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Behind her, Dr. Peter Matthews adjusted his glasses and leaned closer to the window. The cube, roughly the size of a small car, rotated slowly in space, reflecting the distant starlight in ways that defied conventional physics. "The readings are off the charts," Peter said, checking his tablet. "Whatever that thing is, it's generating energy signatures unlike anything we've ever encountered." He paused, frowning at the data streaming across his screen. "And it's old. Really old." The discovery had been pure chance. The RSV Horizon, a research vessel designed for deep space exploration, had been mapping this sector when their sensors detected an anomaly. What they found exceeded their wildest expectations. Laura pressed her hand against the cold glass, her green eyes reflecting the mysterious object's glow. After 15 years of searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, they had finally found something concrete, something real. The ship's intercom crackled to life. "Dr. Bennett, Dr. Matthews, please report to the command center." Captain Richard Owen's voice echoed through the observation deck. "We're preparing for retrieval operations." As they made their way through the ship's corridors, Laura could feel the excitement building among the crew. Word had spread quickly, and every person they passed seemed to vibrate with nervous energy. This wasn't just another mission. This was history in the making. The command center buzzed with activity when they arrived. Holographic displays showed multiple angles of the cube, while technicians worked at their stations, preparing the retrieval drones. Captain Owen stood at the center of it all, his experienced eyes tracking every detail. "Dr. Bennett," he nodded as she approached, "your team is go for retrieval. But I want you to understand. At the first sign of anything unusual, we pull back. Clear?" Laura nodded, though her heart raced at the thought of any delay. "Crystal clear, Captain." The retrieval operation proceeded with precision. 2 drones approached the cube, their mechanical arms extending carefully. As they made contact, the cube's surface rippled like liquid metal, causing everyone in the command center to hold their breath. "Energy spike," called out one of the technicians. "But it's stabilizing. The object appears to be responding to our presence." The cube was successfully brought aboard and placed in the ship's main research lab, surrounded by every scanning device available to modern science. Laura and Peter worked tirelessly, trying to understand the secrets it held. It was Peter who made the breakthrough, 3 days into their investigation. "Laura," he called out, his voice trembling with excitement. "You need to see this. The patterns, they're not random. It's language. Mathematical sequences encrypted into the very structure of the material." Laura rushed to his station, her heart pounding. As she looked at the decoded sequences, her eyes widened. This is impossible," she whispered. The patterns revealed themselves to be star charts, coordinates, and most incredibly, a message. "We are the Curators." Peter read aloud from his preliminary translation. "If you have found this archive, you have been deemed worthy. The knowledge of 1,000 civilizations rests in your hands. Use it wisely, for darkness comes." The lab fell silent as the weight of those words sank in. Laura's hands trembled as she touched the cube's surface. It felt warm now, almost alive under her fingers. "There's more," Peter continued, his voice growing stronger. "These coordinates, they point to something. A station, I think. And this is just the beginning. The cube is part of a larger archive, sections 38 through 41. Laura looked up at the mysterious artifact, her mind racing with possibilities. They had found more than just proof of alien life. They had discovered a library of ancient wisdom, left behind by beings who had deemed humanity worthy of their knowledge. "Send word to Earth," she said, her voice firm with determination. "Tell them we found something. Something big, and we're going to need a lot more help out here." The cube pulsed softly in response, as if acknowledging her words, its secrets waiting to be unveiled by human hands. The RSV horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a gentle shudder. Commander Alan Wright stood on the bridge, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of an enormous space station that filled their view screens. The coordinates from the cube had led them here, to a point far beyond known space. "My God," Kelly Morrison whispered from her communication station. The structure before them was unlike anything humans had ever built. It resembled a massive wheel, with spokes extending from a central hub, each one at least 20 kilometers long. The entire station rotated slowly, creating its own gravity. "Life support readings?" Alan asked, his eyes never leaving the view screen. "Detecting an atmosphere inside," replied Kelly, her fingers dancing across her console. "Temperature and pressure within human acceptable ranges. It's like it was waiting for us." The decision to investigate had come from Earth's highest authorities. After the cube's discovery 3 months ago, a specialized team had been assembled. Commander Wright had been chosen to lead the expedition, with Kelly Morrison handling communications and first contact protocols. "Any signs of active defense systems?" Alan asked as they approached. "None, sir, but there's something else." Kelly paused, double-checking her readings. "We're picking up a signal. It matches the encryption pattern from the cube." As if responding to their presence, a section of the station's outer ring began to glow. A massive doorway opened, large enough to accommodate their ship. "It's inviting us in," Alan said, making his decision. "Take us in slow, thrusters only. Keep all sensors at maximum." The RSV horizon glided into the massive docking bay. As they passed through the energy barrier separating space from the station's atmosphere, the ship's systems registered normal pressure and breathable air. Preparing the first exploration team, Alan announced over the ship's comm system, "Dr. Bennett, Dr. Matthews, you're with me. Full environmental suits until we verify conditions personally." The team assembled in the airlock 20 minutes later. Laura Bennett checked her suit's seals one final time, her heart racing with anticipation. Peter Matthews stood beside her, clutching a device designed to interface with any alien technology they might encounter. As they stepped onto the station's deck, their boots made contact with a material that seemed to respond to their presence. Soft lights activated along the floor, creating a path deeper into the station. "The architecture is incredible," Peter said, his voice filled with awe. "Look at how the surfaces seem to flow into each other, no visible seams or joints." They followed the illuminated path, their helmet lights casting long shadows. The corridor opened into a vast chamber that took their breath away. Countless storage units lined the walls, each one pulsing with a faint blue light. "This must be their data storage," Laura said, approaching one of the units. "But the technology, it's organic somehow, like it's alive." Kelly's voice came through their comm systems. "Commander, I'm detecting power fluctuations throughout the station. Something's activating." The center of the chamber suddenly illuminated, and a holographic image materialized. It showed a being unlike anything they had ever seen. Tall, ethereal, with multiple limbs that seemed to shift and change. "Welcome, children of Earth," the hologram spoke, its voice translated perfectly into English. "We are the Curators, and you have proven yourselves ready for our legacy." The team stood transfixed as the hologram continued. "This station contains the combined knowledge of countless civilizations. We preserved it here, knowing that one day, a species worthy of this wisdom would find it." Alan stepped forward. "Why us? Why now?" The holographic curator seemed to study them before responding. "Your species stands at a crossroads. The knowledge contained here could save you from the fate that befell many others. But first, you must understand." The chamber's walls came alive with images, star maps, scientific formulas, historical records from civilizations long extinct. Laura felt tears in her eyes as she realized the magnitude of what they had discovered. "This is just the beginning," the curator said. "But time is short. The threat that forced us to hide this knowledge still exists, and it grows stronger with each passing moment." As the hologram faded, the team looked at each other, the weight of their discovery settling on their shoulders. They had found more than just alien technology. They had found a warning, a legacy, and perhaps humanity's only hope for survival. The holographic message played again in the station's central chamber, casting an eerie blue glow across the faces of the expedition team. Security Officer Nathan Cole watched intently, his hand unconsciously resting on his sidearm as the ancient recording revealed its dark message. "The void comes without warning," the ethereal curator spoke, its form flickering slightly. "We watched as it consumed the Zarkian Empire in mere days. The Mathurican Federation fell within weeks. Each civilization that reached a certain technological threshold attracted its attention." Laura Bennett stood beside Nathan, frantically taking notes on her tablet. The hologram showed massive ships of impossible blackness, consuming entire star systems like cosmic predators. "What exactly are we looking at?" Nathan asked, his voice tight with concern. "A force that lives between spaces," the hologram answered, seemingly responding to his question. "It feeds on advanced energy signatures, on civilizations that reach too far too fast. We tried to fight it, but conventional weapons proved useless." Peter Matthews stepped closer to one of the data terminals, his fingers moving across the alien interface. "Look at these readings," he called out. "The void isn't just a single entity. It's a collective of some kind, almost like a virus that infects space itself." The chamber suddenly darkened, and new images appeared around them. They showed entire planets going dark, their lights blinking out one by one as the darkness spread across their surfaces. "We hid our knowledge in stations like this one," the curator continued. "We scattered them across the galaxy, waiting for species that might be ready to learn from our mistakes, to prepare themselves." Nathan moved to another console, his military training kicking in as he analyzed the tactical data. "These are recent readings," he said, his voice growing urgent. "The station has been monitoring space around it. There are anomalies matching the void signature, and they're getting closer to Earth." Laura's tablet beeped as it finished translating another section of data. "According to this, we've already triggered their attention. Our experiments with dark matter energy and quantum communications, they're like beacons to these things." Commander Wright's voice crackled over their comm systems. "Dr. Bennett, Officer Cole, we're picking up strange readings from the outer rim of the system. You need to see this." They rushed to the observation deck, where massive windows showed the star-filled space beyond the station. In the distance, points of light were disappearing, as if something was swallowing the stars themselves. "How long?" Nathan asked, his military mind already calculating defensive strategies. Laura checked the station's calculations. "If these readings are correct, we have maybe 3 months before they reach Earth's solar system. But there's something else." She pointed to another set of data scrolling across her screen. "The curators didn't just leave us warnings. They left us weapons." The hologram materialized again, this time showing complex schematics. "We developed methods to fight the void," it explained. "Not to destroy it, but to repel it. To make civilizations unpalatable to its hunger." The knowledge is contained in archive sections 38 through 41. Nathan studied the designs with growing hope. "These could work with our existing defense systems, but we'd need to modify our entire planetary infrastructure." "Then we better get started," Laura said, her voice firm with determination. "We need to transmit this data to Earth immediately. Every second counts." As they worked to download the crucial information, the hologram left them with one final warning. "The void corrupts everything it touches. It turns a civilization's own technology against itself. Choose carefully what you activate, what you build. For every defense can become a weapon in its grasp." The team worked through the station's artificial night cycle, racing against time to understand the curator's legacy. Outside, more stars vanished from view, while on their screens, the countdown to Earth's possible extinction ticked relentlessly forward. Nathan looked at the deteriorating space beyond the station's windows. "Let's just hope we're ready when it comes," he said quietly. "Because from what I'm seeing here, we only get one chance to get this right." Chief Engineer Susan Clark bent over the holographic display in the station's engineering bay, her forehead creased with worry. The data streaming across the screen confirmed her worst fears. Earth's technological development had already crossed the critical threshold that attracted the Void's attention. "It's our quantum communication network," she explained to the team gathered around her. "The way it bends spacetime to transmit information instantly across vast distances. It's like ringing a dinner bell for these things." Laura Bennett nodded grimly. "How long would it take to implement the Curators' defensive systems?" "With our current technology." Susan ran calculations through the station's computer. 2 months at best. And that's if we get immediate cooperation from every major nation on Earth. The station's alerts suddenly blared to life. Red warning lights pulsed through the corridors as new data poured in from the outer sensors. Another solar system, just 50 light-years from Earth, had gone dark. "They're moving faster than we predicted," Peter Matthews said, his voice tense. "The Void seems to be accelerating its approach." Susan pulled up the Curator's defensive schematics. The designs were elegant in their complexity, a network of energy dampeners that could make Earth appear technologically primitive to the Void's senses. But the implementation would require resources they barely had time to gather. "We need to start with the major population centers," Susan said, marking points on a global map. "If we can shield those first, we might buy enough time to complete the planetary network." Commander Wright's voice came through the comm system. "We've just received word from Earth Command. They're mobilizing everything they have. Every shipyard, every factory. They're all being converted to produce the components we need." Laura studied another set of readings, her eyes widening. "There's something else. The Curators left us a prototype of their defense system. It's here in the station. But," she paused, looking troubled, "activating it could draw the Void's attention even faster." "We don't have a choice," Susan said firmly. "We need to understand exactly how these defenses work, and we need to test them before we stake Earth's survival on them." The team moved quickly through the station's corridors, following the path to a sealed chamber they hadn't noticed before. The door responded to their presence, sliding open to reveal a room filled with softly humming machinery. Susan approached the central console, her engineer's mind already analyzing the alien technology. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "The way they managed to bend energy fields without creating detectable signatures. It's like they found a way to hide in plain sight." The activation sequence was complex, requiring synchronous input from multiple stations. As they worked, the machinery came to life, creating a field that spread throughout the station. On their monitors, they could see their own energy signature beginning to fade from the Void's detection range. "It's working," Peter called out excitedly. "The station is disappearing from high-energy scans." But their celebration was cut short as new alarms sounded. "Energy surge detected," Susan shouted, her fingers flying over the controls. The activation sequence, it created a temporary spike in our signal. Through the station's windows, they could see it, a patch of space where stars simply ceased to exist, spreading like spilled ink across the cosmos. The Void had noticed them. "Shut it down," Commander Wright ordered through the comm. "Shut everything down now." Susan worked frantically to power down the prototype, but the damage was done. They had gained valuable data about the defense system's operation, but at a terrible cost. They had drawn the Void's attention directly to their location. "Send everything we've learned to Earth," Laura ordered, her voice steady despite her fear. "Every scrap of data, every observation. They need to be ready." As the team rushed to complete their transmission, they could feel time slipping away. The race to save humanity had become a sprint, and the darkness was closing in faster than ever. Susan looked at the prototype one last time before sealing the chamber. "Let's hope Earth can build these faster than we did," she said quietly, "because we just lost the luxury of time." Military advisor Jack Harrison stood in the heart of the Curator station, surrounded by holographic displays showing deep space anomalies. His trained eyes spotted patterns in the void's movement that sent chills down his spine. It was using military tactics he recognized from his years of service. "They're not just mindless predators," he announced to the team. "Look at these attack patterns. They're hurting us, cutting off escape routes we haven't even thought of yet." Pilot Maria Rodriguez nodded in agreement as she studied the tactical displays. She had just returned from a dangerous scouting mission, her ship barely escaping a patch of void space that appeared without warning. "The strange thing is," she said, pulling up her flight recordings, "they seem to ignore ships below a certain energy output. My emergency power mode made us practically invisible to them." Laura and Peter worked frantically at the main archive terminal, diving deep into sections 38 through 41 of the Curator records. These sections had been locked behind multiple layers of security, as if the Curators themselves feared this knowledge falling into the wrong hands. "Here," Peter said suddenly, pointing to a stream of decoded data. "The Curators found a way to communicate with the void, or at least understand its nature. It's not just attracted to energy, it's attracted to specific types of technological advancement." Laura's fingers flew across the holographic keyboard. "According to this, the void is drawn to civilizations that breach certain universal constants. Faster than light travel, quantum manipulation, artificial gravity. All the things we thought were our greatest achievements are actually making us targets." Jack moved to another console, reviewing tactical data from long-extinct civilizations. Some of these species survived longer than others. The ones that lasted were the ones that found ways to mask their technology, to make it seem more primitive than it actually was. Maria pointed to a particular section of data. "Look at these energy signatures. They match the ones my ship was producing when we went to emergency power." The Curators must have found a way to operate advanced technology while masking its true nature. The station shuddered suddenly, its sensors detecting another approaching wave of void space. The team watched as the darkness consumed another star system, now close enough to see with the naked eye through the station's windows. "We need to focus on these 4 sections," Laura said urgently. "Everything we need is here: how to hide our technology, how to modify our existing infrastructure, even how to communicate with the void itself if we have to." Peter's terminal chimed as it finished decoding another layer of data. "This is incredible," he breathed. "The Curators didn't just leave us defensive technology. They left us their understanding of the universe itself. The way they viewed space, time, energy. It's completely different from our current models." Jack studied the tactical implications of the new data. "If we can implement these changes quickly enough, we might be able to make Earth appear as a pre-industrial civilization to their senses. But it would mean temporarily shutting down every major power grid, every quantum computer, every FTL drive." "Better than letting them consume us entirely," Maria said grimly, remembering the absolute darkness she had witnessed during her flight. Laura consolidated the most critical data, preparing it for transmission to Earth. These 4 sections contain everything we need: the theoretical framework, the practical applications, the defense strategies, and most importantly, the mistakes we need to avoid. As they worked to understand and transmit the ancient knowledge, the darkness outside grew closer. The station's outer sensors began failing one by one as patches of void space appeared and disappeared around them, testing their defenses. "Earth needs this information now," Jack said, his military training emphasizing the urgency. "We've got maybe hours before we lose our direct communication link." The team raced against time, knowing that humanity's survival depended on their ability to understand and implement the Curator's forgotten wisdom. Outside, the stars continued to vanish, while inside, the last, best hope for Earth's survival worked frantically to unlock the secrets of their ancient protectors. Earth's night sky looked different now. Where thousands of stars once shone, patches of absolute darkness floated like cosmic ink stains. From his position in the Global Defense Center, Dr. Peter Matthews watched as another cluster of stars winked out. The implementation of the Curators' technology had transformed every major city on Earth. What once were gleaming metropolises now appeared dark and dormant, their advanced technology hidden beneath layers of energy-masking fields. The planet's defense grid, hastily constructed using the ancient designs, hummed quietly beneath the surface. Power signatures are holding steady at pre-industrial levels, Laura Bennett announced from her station. She had barely slept in the past week, working tirelessly to coordinate the global technological downgrade. As far as the Void can tell, we're just another primitive world. The massive command center buzzed with activity as military and scientific personnel from every nation worked together. The approaching darkness had done what centuries of diplomacy couldn't. It had united humanity against a common threat. "First wave approaching," announced a sensor operator. On the main screen, they watched as a tendril of void space reached toward Earth's outer defense perimeter. Alan Wright, now coordinating the global defense effort, stepped forward. "Initiate masking protocols. Take us dark." Across the planet, cities dimmed even further. Quantum communication networks switched to the new Curator-based systems. Every piece of advanced technology was either shut down or hidden behind the ancient alien shields. "Contact in 5 minutes," someone called out. Laura touched the small cube fragment she wore around her neck, a piece of the original artifact that had led them to this moment. "The Curators believed in us," she said softly. "They knew we could face this." The first tendril of void space brushed against Earth's atmosphere. Everyone in the command center held their breath. The darkness probed, testing, searching for the energy signatures that had attracted it. "It's working," Peter whispered. "The masking field is holding." The void space moved slowly around the planet, like a predator sniffing for prey. Minutes stretched into hours as the darkness examined Earth from every angle. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the tendril began to withdraw. "Don't celebrate yet," Alan warned as some personnel began to cheer. That was just the scout. "The main body is still coming." He was right. The next wave appeared within hours, a massive wall of nothingness that blotted out half the solar system. This was the true test of the Curator's technology. Earth hung in space, appearing to all sensors as nothing more than a primitive world, barely worth the Void's attention. The masking field generated by thousands of hidden generators maintained the illusion, while beneath the surface, humanity's most advanced technologies continued to operate in secret. "Secondary contact," the sensor operator announced. "Multiple void tendrils approaching. They're passing us by." Laura's hands tightened on her console as she watched the massive darkness flow around Earth like water around a stone. The Curator's technology was working perfectly, making humanity invisible to the cosmic predator. Hours passed as the void space moved through the solar system. It consumed several automated outposts that hadn't been properly shielded, but Earth itself remained untouched. When the darkness finally moved on, continuing its journey through the galaxy, the command center erupted in celebration. "We did it," Peter said, his voice filled with wonder. "We actually did it." But Laura knew this was just the beginning. "The Void will return," she said, addressing the room. "Maybe not today, maybe not for years, but it will come back. We need to be ready." Ellen nodded in agreement. "Then we'll build on what the Curators taught us. We'll develop our technology in secret, hidden from the darkness. And next time, we'll be even better prepared." Outside, the stars began to reappear as the void space retreated. Earth had survived its first encounter with the ancient enemy, protected by the wisdom of long-dead guardians. Humanity had proven worthy of the Curator's trust, and in doing so, had taken its first steps toward becoming something greater. 6 months after humanity's successful defense against the Void, the RSV Horizon returned to the Curator station. The ship looked different now. its hull modified with the ancient technology to mask its energy signature. Laura Bennett stood on the observation deck, watching as they approached the massive structure that had changed everything. "The station's been busy," Peter Matthews noted, studying his readings. "It's been gathering data about the void's movements across the galaxy. Look at this. Entire civilizations we never knew existed, all going dark to survive." They weren't alone anymore. In the months since their discovery, other species had begun to emerge from hiding, drawn to Earth's successful implementation of the Curator technology. Each brought their own pieces of the ancient knowledge, their own sections of the vast archive. "The Curators planned this," Laura said, understanding dawning in her eyes. "They didn't just leave their knowledge in one place. They scattered it across the galaxy. They wanted us to find each other, to unite against the darkness." The station's docking bay welcomed them home, its systems recognizing the ship that had first awakened it from its long slumber. As they walked through the familiar corridors, they found the station had changed, evolved, preparing itself for its new role. "Look at this," Susan Clark called out from a newly discovered chamber. The walls displayed a vast network of hidden civilizations, each one masking their true nature from the void. "We're not just hiding anymore. We're building something new." The holographic curator appeared before them, its ethereal form seeming more substantial than before. "You have exceeded our expectations," it said, its voice filled with what almost sounded like pride. "You did not merely survive. You have begun to understand." New data flowed through the station's systems, showing how Earth had become a beacon of hope for other species. The masking technology had spread, allowing civilizations to develop in secret, hidden from the cosmic predator that hunted them. "But this is just the beginning," the curator continued. "The knowledge we left you was not meant simply for survival. It was meant for transformation." The chamber filled with new images, designs and concepts that made even Laura's enhanced understanding falter. The curators had left them more than just defensive technology. They had left them a roadmap to becoming something greater. They weren't just archivists, Peter realized, studying the new data. They were teachers, preparing us for something bigger. Jack Harrison, who had joined the return mission, nodded in agreement. All these species working together, sharing knowledge, building in secret, we're becoming curators ourselves. The station's systems hummed with new energy as more ships arrived, each carrying representatives from civilizations that had found their own pieces of the vast archive. The station was becoming what it was always meant to be, a gathering place for those who chose to stand against the darkness. "We've received signals from 12 new systems," Maria Rodriguez reported from her console. "All of them have found curator artifacts. All of them want to join the network." Laura touched the station's living walls, feeling the ancient wisdom flowing through its systems. "The curators knew they couldn't fight the void forever," she said softly. "So they made sure someone would be ready to take their place. Not just one species, but many, working together." The hologram nodded, its form beginning to fade. "Our time passed long ago," it said. "Now it is your time. Guard the knowledge well. Share it wisely. And remember, in the darkest spaces between stars, hope can still flourish." As the hologram disappeared for the final time, Laura looked around at her companions, human and alien alike, all brought together by the wisdom of an ancient race that had seen potential in them all. Outside the station's windows, the galaxy spiraled on, its darkness now held at bay by countless hidden lights. The curator's legacy lived on, not just in their technology or their knowledge, but in the unity they had inspired across the stars. Humanity had not just survived, they had inherited a sacred trust, becoming part of something far greater than themselves. And in the vast darkness between the stars, that light would continue to grow, hidden but never extinguished, waiting for the day when the shadows would finally fade.